HSK band 2, word number 6 is báisè, which means white. Just like by itself, which also means white. What we're doing now is we're adding this word, which means color, sè. So, of course, the other combinations also exist, like 红色 or 黑色, red or black. When do we have to add that sè? Apparently, in a lot of situations, you can either say by or báisè, and it'll be fine. Báisè is more formal. If you're talking specifically about the color white, you would definitely say báisè. Like, for example, 我喜欢白色, I like white. Also, so at this point in my life, I haven't seen enough Chinese to really have a feeling for this, for the usage, but it seems that it's more natural to say, like, for example, if you say, I have a white shirt, you'd say, 我有一件白色的衬衫, instead of just 白的. Okay, so if you use it as an adjective before a noun, so you would add 的 at the end, so literally like off white color, then you would rather say 白色的, whatever it is. Let's take a look at the characters. So you might already know the character by for white. Sometimes I find it a little bit confusing because there is also this character here, which means 100, and that's third tone, by. So how do we end up with by? Let's just go over it again very briefly. So basically we have the symbol for the sun, which at one point actually looked like a sun, like a circle, and then it was apparently adapted so you can write with a brush more easily, even though some people are incredibly good at writing circles with brushes, drawing circles. Anyway, so you have that, and then of course the sun has rays, which were never part of any script, but I'm just drawing here, and we're kind of reducing that to just one ray, which is at an angle for whatever reason. Okay, but yeah, literally it's a ray of sunlight. So a ray of sunlight, of course, is very bright or white. And then we have the second character. This is where I might have to cut the video because it's kind of difficult to explain the second character. It's a very, very weird one, to be honest. So in the oracle bone script, which is one of the ancient Chinese writing systems, this character looked completely different. I have no idea how they even figured that it was that character. And it was meant to depict a person carrying another person, looking at that other person's face, and the meaning was facial expression. Now, when it comes to the meaning, I actually kind of like the idea that, like a facial expression could be like poetically considered like a color, like emotions can have different colors, right? Kind of. Poetically speaking, so facial expression, color, all right. Anyway, how do we remember this character now? Because this thing definitely doesn't look like a person carrying another person, at least not to me. So I've come up with a weird story which hopefully is going to be helpful. So the character ba, which has a co-radical here. It's a little bit ugly, the whole thing, but yeah. Anyway, you can look it up in a dictionary, right? So that is a suggestion when you put that ba at the end of a sentence. And then my idea is that, okay, so we have this thing on top here, which isn't a knife, but in one of the etymological entries, I read that it could actually be meant to be a knife, okay? So let's say you're making plans for the weekend with your friends, and you're suggesting something, and you're putting that bar at the end, then obviously they're going to react to you in some way, and you're going to see their facial expressions, right? I mean, maybe that wouldn't be so interesting by itself, but if you add a knife to this, let's say you're suggesting something, and you're just very casually taking out a knife for whatever reason. I told you it was going to be a weird story, but so basically you're adding this threat, and of course, all of a sudden, it's not just a suggestion, but it's like a threat, right? So we can drop this thing, don't need that. And that, of course, will make everyone's faces drop, will give everyone very weird facial expressions. So that's kind of like how I, for myself at least, won't forget that this originally meant facial expression. And from there to, from that meaning to color, it's not too big of a jump. So yeah, facial expression, nowadays, color, so. And we can add that to any color. And that's how we get báisè for white.